Hello and welcome to Write On, the podcast from Final Draft. This is the show where we talk about all things screenwriting. I'm your host, Phil Galasso. Today we have an interview with Stacey Gunkaiko Adlao, one of the grand prize winners of Final Draft's Big Break contest in 2020 for her feature script, Clementine. Contest director Kayla Guest chatted with Stacey about her experience growing up as a biracial woman, how Clementine ties to her own identity, how her network has expanded since winning Big Break, and more. Check it out.
All right, Stacey, how are you doing? How have you been since you won the grand prize for Big Break in 2020 of all years?
I know. I'm great. Just working, writing, of course. The prizes that I got from Big Break, I think that were most valuable to me were the feature and TV development, not only meeting the other winners who are so great and inspiring, but being able to get feedback from people that were great writers themselves. And the teacher was really great too.
Yeah, from your peers. So let's just go ahead and tell people, let's demystify the big mystery. So how do you win a screenwriting contest? Just give us what do we do? What's the 1, 2, 3?
You enter and then you forget about it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you keep dwelling on it, like you just have to move forward. If you do well, you do well. If you don't, keep writing. Keep believing in your script because you never know what script is going to connect with.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for you, that script was Clementine. So Can you give our listeners who aren't familiar with your work yet, the elevator pitch for Clementine that people won the contest?
So Clementine is a very dear story to me. I'm biracial Filipino. It is a story about a half Black, half Filipino Amerasian girl in the Philippines who really longs to meet her American father, who she believes doesn't know about her. Once she finally finds him and makes the journey to America, she realizes that the America that is the beloved place of her dreams, where she feels she will be accepted, is not what she thought it would be.
Not as it seems. And I'm sure there are a lot of listeners who can resonate.
So yeah, I hope
with that topic. Yeah, for sure. I'm actually going to ask this question now. Tell us, because it ties into this, tell us about Stacey as a person. Where do you come from geographically? And what about your life informed this script or your writing in general?
Yeah, so I'm born and raised in San Jose, California, in the Bay Area. The Bay Area will always be home to me. I currently live in LA, but the Bay Area definitely has my heart, and telling stories, not only with characters who are like me or like my family, but have the same experiences, because I am biracial. And I feel like people who are biracial can connect with each other so much more in regards to identity, regardless of what our, racial makeup is, because we have so many feelings of not belonging to, whichever side, or we identify too much with one and not so much with the other. And there's always someone else who's trying to define, our existence. So that is definitely something that resonates with me and that I like to tell stories about. But also growing up, my dad was a huge movie lover. And he really instilled that love of movies in me. And he was definitely not the kind of father who would watch, The Godfather, Nightmare on Elm Street, all these kind of horrific movies and think, oh, maybe my kids shouldn't be watching this. He would just and be like, oh, it's a good movie, huh? And, we just became enamored with it, my brother and I. And my dad and my mom said that they were so shocked with us when we were little, because we would sit through hour-long movies from the time we were really little. We just loved them. So the fact that I can attempt to write for them is, just the dream.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm laughing because I watched those same movies when I was probably too young to watch them.
Exactly.
I had the opposite result. I had nightmares forever about Freddy Krueger, but in my nightmare, Freddy Krueger was my identical twin. So I had to, my dream, we were in an arcade. Freddy Krueger shows up. It turns out to be my twin sister. She is, by the way, the evil twin. And I just remember like being in the bottom of one of those race car games, and she finds me. I'm like, I will help you kill people. Just don't kill me. And I was, it was funny then. And now I'm like, what a terrible person I am.
Oh my God, girl, there's your horror film. Write it.
For the greater good. I don't want, because I know how vicious she is. I'm just kidding.
That's so funny. Oh, family.
Two same experiences, different results.
Yeah. Well, he has like a wide range of just tastes all over the place. So we definitely got introduced to a lot of different genres.
Yeah. Yeah. And as far as, your experience in Oakland, just going back to, the biracial experience. And I love what you said about other people telling you who you are or what you are. Mm-hmm. What do you hope to, I guess, achieve in bringing that experience to your writing? Is it to solve it? Is it to help people recognize it in their own communities? Like, is there an agenda, or is it just what you want to write?
Yeah, so I feel like it'd be idealistic of me to say that I could solve it, with just my story, but just to inspire people, to give people a different perspective, and also to, for little Black, brown girls to watch it, see themselves, feel beautiful, feel loved. And that's really what I want.
I love that. So I know, and other people may not know, you're a multi-hyphenate. You're a writer, producer, director, and an actress. Mm-hmm. That's all very commendable. And I'm curious, when you're writing, do you have to shut off all those other parts of your brains? Like, as a producer, you're thinking about budgets and your days, and as a director, you're thinking about your shot lists and everything. I'm not a director. I just totally proved that too. And I'm sure it's all different as an actress too. So how does that work for you when you sit down to write a script to create the content that you can put all those other hats on for? Where is your mind at that point?
When I write, I should probably have the producer hat on more, because I really don't think of budget when I'm writing, even though I should. I've definitely thought about, possibly writing scripts that would be really cheap to make, just so that I can start filming them and not have a production company have to come in and produce it. But yeah, definitely. I also fall into that director hat when I'm writing and putting music in where I want it, or saying, things that should be written in the shooting script that are probably shouldn't be in the spec script that I'm submitting to screenplays. In regards to acting, no, that really doesn't come into play. I just, the script kind of plays out in my head, and that's how I write it. But I can pretty much turn off, those other things except for the directing one. That's harder, because as I'm envisioning it, I want people to see, what I see.
And then do you go back with your producer brain and read over it? Like, what the hell was I thinking?
I know, because the feature that we're currently in development in right now, I just did a rewrite of it after having like a little script session with my producers. And it's just getting like more and more expensive. And I'm like, oh my God, how are we going to do this? But yeah, it's fun. I love it. And then, the goal is to just try and get the money. And then whatever we get, we work from there. And what we have to scale back, we do, but go big. And then what we have to take away, we will.
Yeah, I have a sense of how things are going, like bottleneck wise in our industry right now because of the pandemic. Everyone's recovering. So what does your experience look like right now, trying to raise funds or just trying to get a group of people together to champion this along with you? Yeah,
so I think that term that we keep hearing is we need like name people, especially if we are going to be pitching to investors and they want, to know how they're going to see a return on their money, at least get their money back. And so the name actor is definitely what we keep hearing.
Okay. And for our listeners, we do have listeners who might have just decided last night that they want to get into screenwriting and don't quite understand all of our jargon. So for those that don't know what we mean by that, we're talking about attaching your cast who would have a name that would bring in kind of, I guess, like earmarked sales, right? And same for like a director or a cinematographer, if they're a big enough name that adds value to the bottom line, which attracts producers and. So yeah, it's tough out there right now.
it's really tough. And a lot of, I am getting feedback like, oh, like, why do you want to write with like Filipino characters, or why do they have to be Filipino? And it's just really important for me to have that representation because I didn't have that growing up. And, I don't want my nieces or nephews to have to go through that too, or, have the same struggle. So if it doesn't stop with me. I'm going to keep going.
Interesting in 2021 that people are still asking that question.
Yeah. Well, Hollywood says that they are like open-minded and diverse, but
we'll see, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm still really waiting.
Yeah.
To see how diverse and open-minded they are about those types of films. So we'll see, but hopefully I have hope.
I hope so too. So, going out to pitch and raising funds, everything obviously requires a very robust network, family. Some people will call it. So can you talk a little bit, I guess, well, let me preface this question. The biggest part of Big Break is we are getting you ready to introduce you to the industry, i.e. we are boosting the growth of your network in a way that takes years. We're, bringing people into your environment that someone on their own wouldn't really be able to do as quickly, right? Within a month, you have this whole new roster of people that can do things for you and you can build relationships with. So I'm curious to know, because you're already, a filmmaker before you came on to Big Break. So what does your network look like now? Like what's different about it, if anything?
Yeah. So before, that was the great thing about coming to LA, was that we found a great network of people who we connected on, not only with storytelling, but on like a personal level, which is huge for me as an introvert. Like I have to connect with you as a person in order to really work on something creatively with you. Now, I think I still have that same support network, but now, like I said previously, just having those other writers that I've met through the contest, and also the teachers and the mentors that we've been introduced to through the TV development and the feature development, and then also Penn, who was so inspiring. Oh my gosh, he was so amazing. I was so emotional after that meeting. And then the other writers, though, like really learning from their experiences and realizing that, okay, like getting a lit manager is not like the most important thing, but getting a lit manager who really loves your work, loves you, is super passionate about you is like the goal. So don't just like sign with anyone, but really sign with someone who's just so gung-ho about you and really believes in you. And so, yeah, being in those, and one of our teachers actually has continued doing past like the 12 months just because, or 12 weeks or whatever, just because he loves it so much and we love it. He's so great. And so we just meet every month still just to check in, or if we have work we want to read, or if we just want to say how we're doing or what projects we're working on. That's really the biggest gift.
Oh, I love that. So for those that don't know, Stacey's talking about the NYFA, New York Film School Academy. They sponsor Big Break and give you all 11 finalists 12 weeks of education in film and television. And you also get assigned your own mentor during that duration as well. But you're saying that you guys are all getting extensive care.
Yeah, from one of our teachers, he offered to continue it until we're done with it, which I don't know if we'll ever be done with it. And then meeting Mira was so great and being able to enjoy that experience with her.
Yeah.
Someone who else was like going along for the ride for the first time, was nice to have someone to share that with and kind of like, hey, are you okay? Like, what's going on with you? So that was cool.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. I always want to ask that question because we do so many things within our prize package and it's always different, what affects each winner the most, because everyone's in a different place that wins. We've had people that had a TV career and wanted to move into feature, or people that this was the first script ever and they won, So yeah, it's always interesting to see what part of the prize package stands out for everyone.
But I do want to say too, that you and Emma have been so great and just like guiding us through this. Yeah, it's just so many things that I didn't think would happen. The last year's winner for the features reached out to me and we met up and he let me read, we exchanged scripts and his script was so beautiful. So I was super inspired by that as well. So yeah, just lots of good things, building that network and hoping we can all, create and rise together.
Yes, exactly. And that's the whole point of building your network, is having people that you have solid relationships with that, are also capable of carrying out a role in, say a future project, when you get a go on this feature and you need someone to punch up dialogue, or you need there's going to be someone in your network that you're going to be able to take along for the ride with you. So that's, yeah. So you talked about a little bit about what you're working on now, but let's get into that a little bit more. So you're pitching a feature, you're getting ready to pitch a feature.
Getting ready to pitch a feature. So we have our pitch deck, but we need our investor pages, which are the most difficult to do because they want to see the different scenarios of what would happen to get their money back. So it's apocalyptic romantic comedy. It's called Aphrodite in the Apocalypse. And it's a fun, wild ride. And we're super excited about it.
Will you direct or star in this?
I am producing, directing, wrote it, and starring in it. Well, it's a lot, but it's fun.
I mean, people can show run, that's everything, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You could do that. Absolutely. So before we wrap up here, I want to ask you in hindsight, right? And that just isn't funny anymore. Hindsight's 2020. We got to kill it. I'm sure that's occurred to other people long, long ago, but you're all with me right now. What advice would you give to 2020 Stacey, who decided to enter Clementine in a screenwriting contest in the middle of a pandemic?
Do it again. I mean, I did not think it's funny because I've submitted to Final Draft before with scripts that have placed in other competitions, but never Final Draft. And this is the first time I placed in Final Draft, and then it just went to the top. So it's like you really, really don't know when your script is going to connect with people. So just believe in what you're writing and write what you love, write what you're passionate about, not what you think other people or what you think is going to win or what you think is going to be produced, because hopefully it'll resonate with people as much as it resonates with yourself.
Absolutely. And isn't that like the perfect example of how subjective the industry is?
So subjective. Yeah. And just because I won doesn't mean that my script was the best at all. It just, thankfully connected with people. And so I don't think there's like a best script because people have so many different types of likes and dislikes when it comes to film or art in general. So just believe in your stuff and write your stuff and be passionate about it. And that'll come through on the page.
I love that so much.
Okay.
I do.
Okay.
All right, Stacey. Well, we'll let you go. I know you're busy getting that.
Thank you so much, Kayla. Amazing experience, and you and Emma have been so great in guiding us along the way. So
I haven't had help before, and having Emma on board has definitely helped with 2020. Holy hell.
Yeah, I'm sure. Oh my God.
As I was saying before we started recording, just growing this team is giving us the ability to do even more each year for our alumni. So if we could just all get back to in-person life, we can get back to throwing parties for you all and, celebrate over free beer and wine.
Oh, no, wait. I really can't wait to meet everyone in person.
I know.
That's the biggest one.
We were this close to luncheon for the fall, but we're just, I don't know what's happening right now.
I know. It's just like going up and down. So hopefully that'll be a big gift too.
Yeah. I'm ready to hit send on the invitation. Let's just get rid of this pandemic, people.
Yeah. Safety first.
All right. Thank you so much, Stacey, for coming on.
Thank you, Kayla.
Thanks again to Stacey for coming on the show and to Kayla Guess for hosting. And as always, thanks to you, our listeners. If you liked this episode, leave us a review. And if you haven't already, subscribe on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. For news about future episodes and more, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Final Draft Inc. and Instagram at Final Draft Screenwriting. This episode was produced by Kayla Guess with help from associate producer Emma Vranich. Music by T. Kelly. Thanks again, everyone. Until next time, write on.